game, and that game is to determine how good Saw X is. What's up, YouTube? Zero here, and today I have a quick movie review of Saw X, which did release today. There was a limited release yesterday that I was able to be lucky enough to get in on. Now, in this video, I'm going to talk briefly about the synopsis. I'm not going to give away any spoilers for Saw X, and I'll talk about what you may like and what you may not like in terms of Saw X. Without further ado, let's get into it. Now, a brief synopsis of what Saw X is. I'm going to paraphrase what the synopsis is, but essentially, you know John Kramer, he has cancer. Now, what he's going to try and do in this movie is he's going to try and cure that cancer by undergoing an experimental treatment. Well, you guessed it. The people who promised him this experimental treatment is going to work were actually frauds. So that's how the movie unfolds. You can kind of already guess based off of that how the movie is going to unfold. I don't have to give you any spoilers. You can kind of just guess. You have John Kramer, who is Jigsaw. He tries to undergo a treatment to cure himself of cancer, and the people who are trying to treat him are frauds. So you already know what's going to happen. So about 15 to 20 minutes into the movie, you already know who's going to be playing the game. And in that aspect, Saw X is pretty straightforward. A lot of previous Saws, they would get into a lot of twists and turns. Now, I'm not saying that that's a bad thing. Actually, it's quite refreshing and quite a good thing. Some of the previous Saws just seem to maybe overdo themselves a little bit with trying to trick the audiences. There were some Saws that would play different scenes, and then at the end of the movie, you'd realize that half of those scenes were taken in the past, where this Saw is just straightforward. It focuses around John Kramer and trying to cure his cancer via this experimental treatment, and of course, the frauds behind it. It's a straightforward story. There's not much twisting and turning in terms of flashbacks like we would get from a lot of previous Saws, and I would say that's a positive. The story focuses a lot on John Kramer, so if you are a Saw fan and you're curious as to John Kramer and his background and more story focused on John Kramer, this is going to be a huge win in your book. I know it was in mine. On top of that, a familiar face in Amanda does return, and she is a significant part of the story as well. So if you're interested in learning more about John and Amanda, this is going to be a huge win for you. Now, again, another aspect that you may like, which I absolutely did, was there were not a lot of switching from scene to scene. A lot of Saws, they would go from, oh, we're here, and now we're back to here, and then we're over here. A lot of Saws kind of got mixed up in that, and I still enjoyed them, but it could sometimes get confusing. This Saw is straightforward. It's really focused on John and doing his Jigsaw thing, which is absolutely fantastic. The story is straightforward and awesome. That's not saying that there aren't any twists and turns. As you get towards the end, there are some twists and turns, but it's not as confusing as previous Saws are. So again, that is another absolutely fantastic win. This is a Saw movie, so you're going to get those brutality moments as well. You're not gonna lack for those. There's gonna be moments where there's blood, guts, and more blood, and it is absolutely phenomenal and plays right into the hands of this franchise. This is a fantastic movie, and for those of you who are wondering, this does take place between Saw 1 and Saw 2. So John Kramer is not on his deathbed like we saw in Saw 2 and Saw 3, but he is getting there. He's weaker than he was in Saw 1. So why will you like this movie? Well, if you want more about John Kramer and Jigsaw, this is going to be a win. If you want more about Amanda, it's going to be a win. If you like a story-driven horror movie or Saw, it's gonna be a win. And if you do love those brutality moments like we've come to love in the Saw franchise, again, it's gonna be a win. This is an absolutely phenomenal movie to add to the Saw franchise. So what will or may you not like about this movie? The only thing I can really say about this movie is, again, we went over the synopsis. It's pretty straightforward. John's trying to find an experimental treatment for his cancer so he can be cured of it. Finds out that the people he is being treated by are frauds. That's it. You already know what's going to happen. You know who the players are of the game. There's no twists and turns like before where you're like, who is this person? Why are they in this trap? A lot of Saws, you didn't know why the person was in the trap until later in the movie as it was revealed. This time, we know why these people are in the trap prior to them getting there. So that's a little different from previous Saw movies, but it is refreshing and I loved it. This is the best story-driven Saw in the franchise. So for me, this Saw movie is the best in the franchise, and to be quite honest, I give it a 10 out of 10. I love the Saw franchise. This is my favorite movie in the franchise, and I think this is a must-watch for any horror fan and definitely any Saw fan. But let me know in the comments section what you think of Saw 10 if you've seen it. Is this one of your favorites, or would you pass on it? Let me know in the comments section. Let's talk Saw in the comments section. Until next time, peace.